I'll be glad to talk about that. I don't want to take it away.
No.
Make sure that's all.
Well,
From what I got from you, that it must have through something. Yeah, agreement to lot 31. They told me. Did they have anything? No, they talked about it, but there wasn't anything drawn up. Yeah, just put dirt on it, only 31. Right. Yeah. I like to see what focus on. Yep. Well, everyone, it's 7 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Please, put your phones in silent mode, so it won't be an interruption. As always, we wanna start with the pledge, so please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, Nelson, roll call, please.
Jake Rootbaum,
Here.
Joe Boyd,
Here.
Kevin Kelly, Bill Morris,
Here.
Ashley Richard.
Here.
All right, next item on our agenda is a consent agenda, which consists of everything that's routine and non-controversial. We will do it with a minute and a roll call vote. Sorry, motion and roll call vote. First, did anybody have any questions on the minutes? May have any questions on the financial statements? Sarah, would you like to explain the addition?
Oh, the additional bills, yeah. I've received 4, I think it was today. The larger one for Core Main is part of the county ARPA project for the saddles, for the water connections. The other 2, another one was tied to county ARPA with the concrete, facet concrete you do. And then there was bills for the redoing of the electrical above Denny's office.
So there are several additions to the published list that we got. Does anybody have any questions on the billing or the financial statements? We did ask about the land purchase, and the purchase does not appear on the bills. It didn't come through the bank statements in time, so it'll show up on next month, even though the transaction actually occurred at the end of June. So, no one has any questions on the minutes or the financial statements? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any final questions or discussions? Allison, roll call.
Joe Boyd,
Yes.
Kevin Kelly,
Yes.
Bill Morris.
Yes.
Ashley Richard.
Yes.
All right, next item is the citizens hearing. Does anyone have any questions for the board? Kathy?
Yeah, I'm the only one here. Kathy Brooks, Plain Street, Hudson. Okay, during the prior meeting, Tiff, I discussed my concerns with the one TIF issue. I'm curious about the land purchase. My understanding is you're going to turn it into a retention pond.
That's correct.
Do you have a time frame on that?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a time frame on
No,
that?
we do not yet. We just purchased it last month. We do not have a time frame yet. Do you know where the property is?
Yeah, it's over there behind where
Yeah.
sewing studio now, that area back there. East
Nah.
Street and something like
Yeah,
that.
corner of East Street, South Street, a little bit north of that and on the east side of the road.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
over there. Okay, I actually put down, I'm concerned about the vandalizations on the parks. You know, the village spends a lot of time and effort keeping these up, and nothing actually marked. But I was wondering if perhaps the police might want to reschedule one of their employees. There's two and a half policemen, you know, to sort of nip this in the bud, you know, before word spreads to normal that we're a free and open town at night, and they can come and basically do whatever they want. You know, that's, you know, we don't want to have to keep working on the same items on the parks.
Okay, we can address the vandalism. I believe Mark and Kevin are gonna touch on it when we do the police report.
Okay.
And Danny may also bring part of it up as far as what we're doing, so it will be addressed, so.
Okay, yeah.
And,
because-
and we do not have 2.5 police, just to be clarified, we have 2, and then, a person working about 8 hours a week.
Okay.
Most weeks.
I thought they were supposed to work 3 days a week, 3
No.
evenings. Okay. I misunderstood.
At one time, I think we had talked about that, but we ended up settling for just 1 day a week, just
Okay, well,
8
then I
hours.
take that back. 2 and
Yeah,
a,
that's not much,
Smidge.
just so you know.
okay, that's really all I have.
Okay,
I appreciate your time.
and if we don't address all your questions, when we do our other recording, please see me after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, the citizens hearing portion is closed. Next is the reports from me, and we don't have our ZBA member here tonight, so we'll shoot for next month. Next item is the sewer study status, okay, to recoup our grant money. You have 2 checklists to complete. The first one is done and sent. All the Native American tribes that are involved have been contacted, and I think their deadline to respond is passed. There is a second checklist I'm working on, and I passed around the sheet tonight of questions that I have for the board that I need to answer before I can finish the second checklist. EPA wants a copy of our ordinance, and I told them we didn't have an ordinance yet. They said, that's okay, just let them know what we think the ordinance would likely be. So a lot of the questions there are ordinance related on how we want to do the billing, how much we want to charge, whether or not we want to give discounts for senior citizens or for anyone below the poverty level, that type of thing. So please look over the list of questions and what I put in the table, and I'll send the table out after the meeting. If anybody is willing to meet with me to double check everything in the table, it's a spreadsheet that's somewhat complex as far as figuring values and everything. I would appreciate it if I could meet with someone to go over everything. So please, if you have comments on it, get it to me by this weekend. Because I want to try and get the checklist done for the state next week.
So you're saying these are necessary to send in something to get the money we were already trying to get?
Yes.
Okay.
These are necessary to do the ordinance. These questions have to be answered to do the ordinance. And I want to get the ordinance that I send to them as close to what we would probably have if we did have an ordinance.
Okay.
We're not bound to anything we put in here as far as discounts or anything, rates.
Okay.
But the rates that are in there are what we would currently have to pay Binward if we were to join them. So,
So you're talking about of the $10,000 grant money that,
right,
so that is, I know you did a lot on that, so this is part of the puzzle. This
Yes.
is still required.
Yes.
Native American tribes, now is this
now
and
the
EPA?
second checklist.
I see what you mean, because I had the same, okay, I
Yeah,
understand.
that's what it's for. I have to get this into Illinois EPA
Okay,
so that we can get the other $10,000 of our grant money.
okay, thank you, Mayor, for doing
That's what
this.
it's for. This table will also have payment calculations that we can use to present to our federal and state representatives and senators when we request money for financing for the project. So I'll be glad to meet with anybody on the table. It takes a while to explain it. I didn't want to take a lot of meeting time for it, so. But those questions gotta be answered, so. And if you got questions on my questions, let me know. Okay, the next thing on my report is the land purchase status for the detention basin. We did have the closing for that, and the closing went quite well for the 3 lots, 28, 29, and 30. We had also asked about using outlots 31 and 32, which are just south of the 3 lots that we purchased. And we had asked to store dirt on them, which we're currently doing, and the landowner has been fine with doing that. We had asked for a first right of refusal to purchase it if the property did go up for sale. The land for lots 31 and 32 are jointly owned. And so the person we've been working with could not sell it without contacting the other owner, making sure they were also okay with selling it. And so we asked for a first right of refusal to purchase those 2 lots. We also asked for permission to store more than just dirt on those lots if we want to build our bunkers there. And the contract was drawn up, but the contract did not have anything other than being able to store dirt on it. So the contract is going to be redone, and the first right of refusal will be added, and the permission to create bunkers and store gravel and different things like that on that property is also in the works. So I don't know how long it'll take to get that drawn up, but we'll get a copy of that whenever it's drawn up. We'll need to approve it at that time. So the land is ours, and we'll continue to do that. They also, Jim said that the person farming it now may have pulled the markers, some of the markers, because he had to spray the beans. And so that some of the markers may not be there. So, well, that's a problem. We'll have to approach that at some point in time. But it is surveyed, and I think it's all been filed with the county and everything, so. Okay, I'm not sure about that either. I'll check with you on the status of that. Okay. So that's where we're at with the land purchase. Kathy, we do not have a plan yet, as far as when it's gonna be done. We are hoping that we will have the manpower to do most of it, not all of it ourselves. Save the village a ton of money by doing it ourselves. So.
Oh. That's good.
Or
I said, my sympathy goes to Denny.
he's the one that got us into it.
That would be the truth.
He likes to play with his toys.
Ah.
Okay, my next bullet item is, support for local activities. I just want to remind everyone, farmer's market is an excellent chance for residents to go up and purchase not only fresh produce from gardens, but there are flowers, there are woodworking exhibits, there's honey. There's a lot more than just farmer's market products there. So I encourage our community to support the farmer's market, show up. There are organizations, Scouts, Lions Club, the library, I know at different times have had activities up there, so please go up and support different organizations and local activities up there as well. So farmer's market, there will not be one on July 4th, but there will be one the remaining Thursdays in July and August. And I don't know off the top of my head when the last one is, but sweet corn season is upon us, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of good sweet corn out there starting real soon. Okay, I'm also going to do a orientation for any of our new trustees that would like it. And I'll invite the senior trustees to attend also if they want to. I will send everybody an outline of what I covered during an orientation. And anybody is welcome to attend that wants to, so I'll get that to you, Ashley. gotta get the, go over everything. Okay, next on the listing is a report for water, public property, streets and zoning, Benny Engel.
Water usage, 3.39 million, 113,000 a day. This last month, and I think in the next month or so, maybe two, Sunag has been selling a lot of water to a boring company that I believe, if I understood him right, is boring a gas line into the Mackinac River. And I might have some of those details a little bit off, but I know it's a boring company, and they're coming and getting 5,000-10,000 gallons every day or two. I also have I sold some bulk water to some of the road construction people that did the first phase of the project and are now doing the second phase of the project as well. So that's why our water usage is up a little, and talking to Sarah today, we're right around 10% or a little less. So doing pretty well there. Ryder, the new part-time kid, I think is picking up pretty well. Bill's seen him several times and seems to be doing well. I'm trying to focus on the Front Street drainage project. I really kind of wanted to get the project done over there, finish out from behind the daycare to West Street. That's been really wet over there and not the best conditions to work in. So for the sake of safety and the sake of continuing to get it in an accurate location, we've moved to over here. I also would like to make sure that we get this done because we have to go through the driveway up here at the scale for the elevator. And I want to make sure we get through that and get that back covered up in time for train traffic. And putting that as a priority over replacing some of the hydrants, that I have from the past year's order. And I've also started to order some of the saddle replacement stuff. So as we've got money from the county ARPA for that, I started to order some of that stuff as well. Talking to Natalie and Lynn about the mini split air conditioner heater that's up in the concession stand. That went bad again. It's got all sorts of problems. Made the decision with Natalie let's just get a new one. So the most cost-effective way we could get that pulled off was to do a lot of the stuff ourselves. So we took out the existing unit and ordered a new unit, got it all set up, but the refrigeration part of it had a company come out and pressure test it and hook that up. Since Rich, one of my part-time guys, has a lot of experience with that, he's did a lot of that. So thanks, he was able to save us a lot to do that. So their original quote for them to replace it, take it out, was $4,300, I think, and I think we're going to end up around $1,500 for us buying the unit and doing most of the work. So the other thing with the concessions is kind of a FYI compliment thing to think about for next year. So things that I've heard, and Sarah's probably heard some too, I think Mike has taken a lot of ownership in the concession stand and operating that, and nothing shy of a great job from him of doing that. And I think what I've heard, people are appreciating having the concession stand back going again and the stuff we have. us being able to get some of the new stuff, things seem to be working very smoothly up there. The little bit of a downturn, which is certainly not a complaint from me, but something to think about that I'm kind of realizing is, you know, I counted on Mike to help me a lot with different things. Well, a lot of those days he's taken off 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours to go do the concession stand. And I'm in 100% support of him doing the concession stand and think it's a great thing, but that is a little less time for people helping me. So again, not a complaint at all. I think he's doing great, and I think doing that, having that is a great thing to continue moving forward. We did get a trail cam in to help monitor things up there, and I had a couple of my helpers help Mark and Chris, and I think that's hopefully it'll be an aid for them. After some of my early frustrations in the beginning of the month of June, talking to Mark about is it worthwhile keeping track. One day we had close to 20 man hours we spent cleaning up different things that were not the normal couple of popsicle wrappers, a left behind ball glove. I mean, that happens all the time and it's expected, and I have no complaints about that. Kids are kids on that kind of stuff. But the malicious stuff, or stuff that drinking products that should not belong in the park, I hope you all received that email to just kind of, you know, let you know the frequency of the occurrences, and that you know, it's way more than I ever remember in the past. So anyway, no criticism at all on that to Mark. It's whoever is in the neighborhood that's doing that. It's unfortunate. It's disheartening to me too when we have volunteers. You know, our resident Bob Ross that paints things, and we just got the ship up here that I've spent a lot of time fixing that's been maliciously damaged. And the Havoc has painted the dugouts, I think it was a year ago, and you know, some things have been done in those. And anyway, it's a shame when people volunteer their time that things like that happen. So anyway, I also had kind of talked with Mark and Natalie as well, as I think our plan is to make sure this camera is kind of what we want, how it works, and to maybe get a couple more that they're portable, that we see trouble spots, we can put them somewhere else. So if anybody has any support or decline for doing that, were they 150, I think?
Yeah, they're like 120 a year for the service.
So that the inside of the bathrooms, that's the other thing. We basically, if one of our public works people is not on staff here, we're locking it. Mike leaves it unlocked until he comes back for a game at night, and then it's been locking it up. And I believe Mark's been having Chris, when he's here on Saturdays, open and close it, you know, when he's here, which I was never really a fan of trying to lock it, just because people go up there to the dog park at all the times. But there's just been so many things damaged inside the bathrooms that I'm not sure what other choice we have. So that's kind of where some of that stuff is. Dave sent us an email about the ballpark lights. Rich had mentioned to me and Phil early this spring, wasn't it, Phil, about when he worked for Benward, they had a big project that they did with Ameren, as far as Ameren had some sort of credit, if I was understanding him right, about if you replaced your current lights to LED, they would give you some sort of credit our voucher for buying the LED lights and energy saving conservation. So my thought with that was we were kind of putting that on the table until it was more closer to budget time and winter time to kind of figure out if that's a worthwhile thought to pursue. So since David mentioned that, I forgot to say that earlier, but that's something that was on the list. Then the detention basin. To my knowledge, the survey was done, we've received that, and I believe they were sending that on to Pat. I think Pat might have that, I'm not sure. As far as to have that filed, did you get that, Pat?
I'm not specifically aware I have it. That doesn't mean I don't, because I,
We can't hear you, are you muted?
no,
Sarah's working on it.
The intention was to send it to Pat if he doesn't have it.
To his associate,
Yeah,
Rossi.
Right. So it has been pinned, and yes, Dave, the section that, the piece that the village purchased, it still has the markers there. I was told they were gonna drive pins out in those 2 additional lots that were referenced. And those are out in the field, and those lath were pulled. So that's not something that interferes with anything we're gonna be doing in the near future. The other things that I was able to coordinate with Aaron Kinder, fire chief, is we were able to get most all of the millings that they got, they did off of Franklin Street. So, and I apologize if I didn't do the right thing, but since we work with the township in intergovernmental relations, I felt the same way with the fire department, discussed with Aaron. I removed some sod, so for him to be able to increase his parking in trade-off for us to be able to store millings there until we need them. So kind of working together on some of that. So that's saving us thousands of dollars for the price of the millings. So anyway.
Pat said his
Thank you
partner
for
got
doing
the,
that too.
partner got it and he'll have it done. Or as soon as he gets it, he'll have it done in a timely manner.
So, has that. Then, to kind of answer some Kathy's questions, and maybe you all are wondering the same thing. My conversations as I was talking with Patrick Meyer, our engineer, about the basin, the design of the basin, how we would build it, etc. My question to him was, as you know, I like to see us save money, us do a lot of the work, etc. And I said, you know, I'm not sure that there is reality that I would be able to devote the time needed to get that done in a short, quick, timely fashion. If we do it in multi-stages over possibly multiple years, does that make any sense to do it that way? What's the pros and cons to that? And he said, yes, that's absolutely doable. And we talked about different ways to navigate through that. So my intention is when possibly during some of the winter time, once the crops are out that are in that area now, and it's not very conducive to be standing outside in the weather, then I can possibly be doing some dirt work there. So I would definitely like to start working on it over this winter, late this fall, but I'm putting drainage as the high priority right now. We do have of course, water is a priority of mine, but we do have the parts if there is something that goes wrong. So that's kind of a long story, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, and I do want to add something on Sunag's water usage. I knew they used a lot, so I had Carol pull the last 10 months of usage. And it's in that memo, one, for the month of May, they used over 1 million gallons of water. And so they have been a big user. I don't think that's normal for them, but that would explain some of the big bump if they were still doing that for the drilling of that pipeline. That would explain for some of the increase from the 3 or 4 million. So they're definitely using a lot more this year. The reason I needed it is because the sewer billing is based on water usage. And so I had her check, there aren't any other large commercial accounts that use an abnormal amount of water. Sun Egg seems to be it, so. But they did have one month, it was over 1 million gallons. The other months on the report, none of them exceed 100,000 gallons. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were 500 to 1 million gallons again for this month. So you said it went up to what, 3.9 million?
3.39, yeah, they, you know, April and May are traditionally farm spraying months, and sometimes there's a small parade of semis and, you know, they're hauling 5,000 to 10,000 gallons of water out at a time. And, you know, if they just had 10 of those a day, there's 10,000 gallons or 100,000 gallons real quick. So that's 100,000 gallons is our normal daily usage, without them using any water. So when you add them as using that much in a busy spraying day. But there has been the drilling, so.
Any, Denny, do any of the trustees have questions for Denny?
Has there been any cleanup issues or problems since we were locking up the bathrooms and kind of doing, or within the last, was it week or two? Has there been?
There has been, there's been no problems in the bathroom really to speak of since we've been doing the lockup.
The garbage in the park?
Garbage in the park, yes. Yeah, that's on that list,
Okay,
that I sent out. I think I sent it to you.
okay.
If I left your name off the list, I apologize. I attached a spreadsheet that I hand wrote it and had Carol type it up, so. it was-
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, Denny, I don't know if Mark's had an opportunity to talk with you yet, but we talked about also putting up some additional signs at all 3 parks. No alcohol, no firearms, park closes at 10, and cameras in use. And see if that might help also.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him about that, but yeah, I can certainly, whatever you think is best, be happy to go down to the sign store and get those.
Do we have an ordinance that like how much you get fined if you had alcohol in the park or anything, or is there no fine? That'd be nice to put on the sign and maybe a kid would see that and then not do it, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna address that in my
Okay.
report, but, yeah, basically, your first time offender is gonna be $250. And it goes up from there.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions for Denny? If not, thank you, Kathy.
Actually, it's a generic question. On this, new drainage pond. If you do it in stages, will each stage, help on that flooding that they have on South Street? Will that cut down on it a little? That's a major complaint there.
That's the hope, and part of Patrick's design that we talked about was actually kind of 3 phases of it as far as levels of severity of the flooding. First stage of flooding would go in this area, and second stage would go here, and yes.
I was just. Sort of work. We finish it.
Anyone else for Denny? No, thank you, Denny. Next on the list is village marshal and civil defense director, Mark Cuddy.
All right, everybody should have a copy of the report that I print up. You can see the hard statistics again, they are what they are at the top. Go over some of the other things that Chris and I did during the month. We attended our training, our annual firearms training and certification course. Every year we're required to have annual firearms training and then qualify with all the weapons that we carry. So we got through that. I mentioned about leads audit. We did a pre-leads audit meeting and it went to the state with the results and we came back that we passed our leads audit. That is the way that we use the state databases and certain parameters we have to follow, storage of information and different things as far as all their, like when we run people's driver's licenses, license plates, criminal histories and the like. There are strict procedures we have to follow. So we passed that, which is good. We did have the CJS audit meeting. And based on that audit meeting, I need to write some policy changes to how we operate and bring it up to the level of where we need to be with the state statute. And I'll get with the mayor and I'll get with Kevin on that when I write those policies. So I attended the NQ8 meeting. We had a meeting for our new computer-aided dispatch system that works in our squad cars and how to operate the new system. Let's see. We had a meeting with Sarah before we applied for the COPS grant, which is a community policing grant, which is a federally funded grant that's passed through the state to help police departments, villages, municipalities, and the like hire police officers. So there's federal money for that. The forms and the process was very burdensome. I could not have managed all of the Adobe Acrobat things without Sarah's help. She was a great help. We got it submitted. So thank you, Sarah, for that. We'll see what happens with the grant. It's pretty competitive. Don't know if we'll get any money or not. I completed, of course, our NIBRS report. That's the report I have to send out to the state every month about what we did and what we didn't do. We had an accident report, 700 block South Broadway Street. Thankfully, no one was injured. It's just a property damage accident. Registered 4 golf carts. So now we have 42 that are registered right now. We continued with our stop sign details. Even though it's summertime, we still do the school bus stop arm enforcement because there are summer school students. You'll see the buses still in town, not as many buses, but we do like to make sure that people are not violating the stop arms. I'll include this even though I include the EMA, I think, with the regular report so that everybody knows. I got called in twice to handle EMA duties. And what I mean by called in is that when we have a severe weather alert and the county calls it a severe weather alert, me as the EMA coordinator, I have to basically respond. And that means basically coming into the station, logging into my computer, going to an app that they have provided us, because I have to monitor the storm situation, because the only way to set off the sirens still in the village or in the township is by either me or Dave or one of the police officers that might be here actually physically pushing the button on a radio. So until we get it taken care of, that's just a requirement that it has to be covered because the county cannot set off the sign. We're working to change that. It's taken quite a long time. Hopefully they'll get moving on it. It would really help, really help. We tested the sirens today. All 3 in town work. The one in Bloomington does not, because they haven't repaired it yet. So the 3 here work in town, so that's really good. During the month, I applied for the 3 grants you see down there. The COPS grant with Sarah's help, a TASER grant, and a radar grant. I did receive the radar grant, $1,000 grant, to purchase a new handheld radar unit, which we needed to replace. And we'll see what happens with the TASER grant and the COPS grant. The parks. Now, extra patrols are being performed at all 3 parks at night. So we've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 weeks. A couple different ways we're performing it. I will come in and I will do a nighttime patrol in the parks. And I do that usually between the hours, well, I won't say the hours, but parks closed when I do it, so no one's supposed to be. It's dark and it's 10 PM, you're supposed to be out of the park. We do have Jamie, our part-time officer, also doing it while she's here. I spoke with Kevin about increasing her hours so that she could provide more coverage. And Kevin and I agreed that the budget would support it. So she is actually working 3 nights. She's agreed to do that during the summer. It does make it hard for her, and I'm very happy that she's willing to do that because she does have a full-time job during the day. It's just a part-time job.
Is it 4 hours a night or 8 hours a night she's working?
It's usually 5, it'll be now 5 hours a night, so we'll have 15 hours a week. And the days are rotating, so I don't have her on a set schedule, so you never know when she might show up. Part I know, because in those other nights, I'll be doing it beyond what I normally do. I just come in and do those patrols at the park. Make sure that things are, at least that there's a presence out there. Danny mentioned the trail cam. We set it up. I've got the app on my phone, and so does Chris. Every time it takes a picture, it notifies me. Some days I get a lot of notifications and there's a ball game going on, but it does take pretty good pictures. However, if you want to utilize that type of surveillance, you're going to need about 4 to 5 more cameras to cover it. Now, the initial cost of the camera is not that expensive. It's the monthly service to be able, because it's cellular. So it costs $120 a month per camera. I mean, $120 a year per camera to do that. I'm going to get some quotes and some bids on a new video system to compare prices. The video system that we have is not, it's older and it needs to be replaced. So I can get some quotes on that, and then the board can make a decision on whether or not you want to go trail cams, stationary pictures, or go with a new video system at the park. Good idea that we started locking the bathrooms, a suggestion I made last year. It's good that we do that because you can't damage the bathroom when it's locked up when it's occurring at night. So a lot of times when Jamie's working and when Chris is working, they'll make sure the bathrooms are locked when they leave, and I do too at night. So in case somebody forgets to lock the bathrooms, but generally we're locking them, and so that shouldn't be a problem. Joe, you mentioned about the ordinance, and there is an ordinance dealing with that parks are closed at 10. Okay, you can't have firearms. That's not been a problem. But I just thought I'd mention it because we don't have equal signs at all parks. Some parks say one thing, some don't say anything. So I'm going to give it to Denny so it's consistent. And then also the alcohol is prohibited in the park. My opinion on this is that generally when we're dealing with ordinance violations, we do give we start usually with a verbal and then a written warning and then an actual ordinance violation. I've instructed both Chris and Jamie that there's a 0 tolerance on that. If someone's in the park after 10 o'clock, they're going to get an ordinance violation. It's plain and simple, especially up at Waller. It is marked, it's right there. And alcohol is prohibited in the park. So if someone is caught with it, they're probably going to get an ordinance. So, I think that's it. Any questions?
Have you seen any issues? I know that the last week or two, since you implemented more patrols and bathrooms have been locked up, has there been any issues that you can speak of?
Well, I encountered I encountered one young man in the park a couple of days ago. He wasn't doing anything wrong, but I don't think he realized that that the park was 10. He was just actually sitting in the park drinking water and eating cookies for whatever reason. It was about 10:15 and the park was closed. So now he knows that the park closes at 10, he can't be in the park. But he wasn't doing anything. He was just sitting there. So, but I haven't encountered any problems. I haven't run into anybody in the park, but unless you're there all night long in all three parks, chances of you bumping into somebody is pretty slim.
So I think there should like an additional 4 or 5 cameras might cover everything. That, so is that with one park or is that with all 3 parks?
That would just cover one thing.
One park, oh, that's the main one.
Yeah, I think the other parks wouldn't require as many. I'd have to really go out and look and see how we want to do it. But for example, Friendship Park probably wouldn't require more than 1 or 2 at the most. But Waller would require the majority because it's a bigger park and you've got different things that you want to look at and protect. So if you have a camera pointing one way, obviously over here, you're not going to match.
The cameras do video or do they do still?
They do still.
Okay,
They do still.
so, okay. So maybe, I know this GMS, do they actually do any type of video?
Yeah, they're gonna, yeah.
Is that
use
one
them.
of the quotes from the? okay.
They're gonna, they will give a quote and also do research for us.
Okay.
They're not a vendor of it. But they'll do the research for me and do some background work and then make some recommendations on it. And then get a cost to us for that.
Okay. My other question was, I think you said the siren at Lake Bloomington, so obviously that's EMA, so you
Right.
put out, so you, as EMA director, or coordinator, you do actually the village of Hudson and then the siren at Lake Bloomington?
Correct.
Do you do anything at Comler Park too, or?
No, because that siren, they can set off at the county.
Okay,
However, when they have power outages out there, they call me and ask me, can you drive out there and make an announcement to all the campers that they need to go take shelter?
okay,
So, yeah, they'll call me and ask me to do that,
okay,
because there's no other way to get a hold of them. So I drive out there and tell the campers, hey, you know what, you're under a tornado warning, be a good idea to go seek shelter, so.
okay. Well, thanks for the patrols and keeping the parks and writing those grants, appreciate that.
Thank you. Oh, and I forgot, the street light report is still up.
I
Same
noticed
ones.
that.
And I did have a question. Where are we with the county being able to set off the
It,
alarms?
unfortunately, it's really not under my control or the village's control. It is dependent upon several factors. One, they have a repair person that repairs the sirens. Okay. And that person has been working on the Bloomington one for quite a while. He did get the one in Prairie View fixed, which I was very thankful for, so we got him in town. He's saying that that siren should be fixed by the next test next month. Once that's done, then the process is as burdensome as it seems. There's a control board at the EMA at the county courthouse. That board, for them to take over our sirens, they have to physically take that to a shop in Wisconsin. And they do whatever they do to it, and then they pick it up a couple days later and bring it back. The big issue is while they're doing that, they can't set off any sirens anywhere in the whole McLean County. So they have to try to find a time when it's predicted, it looks like it's gonna be good weather, and they can get that done and get it accomplished and coordinate it with the vendor that does it. It's a pretty complicated process, but it will certainly enhance the ability to do warnings once they can do that. It really will.
Thank you, Mark. Any final questions for Mark? All right, thank you, Mark. Next on the list are our trustee reports. Lynn is not here. Did not have anything in their finance budget or contracts. Next is street department, Phil.
I really don't have any business, other I just want to thank Jenny for, I've been kind of following them around town doing the drainage work, and with the new guys and everything, working with him, everything's going pretty smooth, so. Pretty interesting to watch him make progress on the drainage, so. I think, Jenny. Thanks.
All right, next we have ordinance and zoning, Ashley.
I don't have anything.
Next is police, Kevin.
Yeah, the only thing I have is, to discuss the new, solicitor amendment to our zoning and ordinances. I guess to our ordinances, not zoning. I think everybody has been able to read that, look that over, and I think I got a couple of opinions already, but, just want to open up for discussion. It was discussion.
Does anybody have any questions on the ordinance changes? I think they're good changes.
Okay, and I do appreciate everybody's feedback. I've been thinking about this and talking to many individuals, Mark and board members and residents, et cetera. So appreciate everybody's feedback on that. So I guess, can I make a motion to adopt it? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1384, amending Title 3 of the Hudson Village Code to provide amendments regarding times available for peddler solicitation, solicitor registration, and permit fees and penalties.
Do we have a motion for ordinance 1384, changing solicitor's ordinance? We have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any final questions on the ordinance 1384? If not, let's do a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, Pat's waving, hold on.
You gotta do a roll call.
I'm sorry.
Pat's waving, hold on, you might have to do a different kind of.
Oh, okay. Pat, did we have to do
You have to do a
a
roll call. 'cause it's-
roll call?
Yeah, he's not.
Okay, just so I know for the future, why is it a roll call?
Because-
Tell me next month, Pat. We'll shoot for next month, so I know if it has financial implications where we're spending money, it has to be a voice or an individual vote.
He said it's because you're adopting an ordinance.
Okay, so any ordinance we adopt has to be a individual vote. Okay, thank you, Pat. Thanks. Okay, so Allison, we do a roll call vote?
Joe Boyd?
Yes.
Kevin Kelly?
Yes.
Bill Morris?
Yes.
Ashley Richard?
Yes.
I'm still learning. Okay, thank you. Kevin, have you got anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Next on the list is Water Department, Trustee Joe.
I don't have anything.
Okay, next is Public Property, Natalie, and I don't believe she had anything for tonight. So as far as Liquor Commissioner, I have nothing related to Liquor Commissioner activities. I do want to invite the trustees and remind them that at the end of the month, we have a planning commission meeting. I believe it's the last Monday of the month. And invite all the trustees to attend that. The planning commission is basically new. We've had one or two meetings to get kicked off, but if you have input for them, I know we've assigned several reviews to them already. If you have input for any of that, it'd be good to get it to them. If you can't make the meeting, if you want to put a note together, I'll be glad to relay that to them. I think the three things that we asked them to work on is one, is the 10-year, 20-year plan, combining the two plans together. One was to look at house rentals, like Airbnbs or VRBO type situations. The third was the zoning for different classes we got, what kind of businesses, so that we can make sure that we are in good shape for the properties like the daycare center. So I know those three things we've asked them to look at. If there are anything else, let me know and we'll channel it to them. Or we'll go through one of our trustees to get to them. So everyone is always invited to that. It has to be, it is a public meeting, anyone from the public is also available, or they can attend if they'd like. Okay, does anybody have any other business for our meeting? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, this one I know we can do a voice vote. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Recording stopped.